Welcome to the UpWind Family Speaker Series, session number 3. No need for sight when you have a vision. What blindness can teach us about risk and leadership. I'm Natasha Gonzalez, the host of this webinar. I'm here to monitor the session and relay your questions to our keynote speaker, Lex Gillette. We are committed to fostering an inclusive experience, so I will share my self-descriptors. I'm a Hispanic female with medium skin tone, wavy shoulder length brunette hair, and I am wearing a black blazer today. We encourage you to use the chat box to introduce yourselves and post your questions. Type your name, where you are joining us from, and later we will check your Q&A. So excited to listen to what our speaker has prepared for us. Lex Gillette is the best totally blind long and triple jumper in the history of the U.S. Paralympic movement. He is the current world record holder in the long jump, a 5-time Paralympic medalist, a 4-time long jump world champion, and an 18th time national championship. I can't even say it all. It's just so impressive. He is the only totally blind athlete to ever eclipse the 22-foot barrier in the long jump. What an impressive career he's had. Before handing the mic over to him, a little introduction on this webinar. The Family Speaker Series has been designed to keep in contact with the more than 120 applicants to the UpWind by Mere Concept program, to support them in their professional development through these recorded and shared monthly webinars. This initiative is designed to promote diversity, inclusion, and sustainable excellence in ocean racing. UpWind by Mere Concept is a program that aspires to reshape the narrative of ocean racing, imagining a more inclusive and welcoming sporting community. Launched this year by Mere Concept with founding partner 11th Hour Racing, this Ocean 50 project will allow sailors from all walks of life to sail at a high level while benefiting from the best professional supervision available, whether at sea in contact with the best or on land with extremely qualified technical teams. The objective of these speaker series is to engage with and promote an inclusive and welcoming environment for sailors to network, learn, share experiences, and collaborate on opportunities for personal and professional growth. Through this webinar series with inspirational role models such as our guest keynote speaker today, Lex Gillette. Thank you for being with us today.
I really appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you and all of the sellers here within the UpWind by Mere Concept Speaker Series. I am coming to you from California in the United States. So I am in San Diego, which is way south, farther south in the state. However, I am originally from the East Coast of the United States in North Carolina, where I experienced what we would classify as a normal childhood. I played outside with friends. I played my video games. I would ride my bicycle. There was one particular day that I had come home from school. I went through my normal routine. That evening, I started to have issues with my eyesight. And I noticed that when I looked at my hands, they were looking blurred. And when I would look up at the lights in the ceiling, they were looking faint. My mom said, all right, well, let's go to the doctor. Let's get an examination done and see what the issue is. After that examination, doctors said that I needed to have an emergency operation because I was suffering from retina detachments. And when you think about retina detachments, you might think about, combat sports, like boxing specifically, where you're punching and there's some sort of blunt force to the head that can create that type of issue, retina detachments. Or as we get older and things might decline from a health standpoint, you might experience retina detachments. For me, at 8 years old, there wasn't one thing that I could point to and say, oh, this is what caused that issue. So we had that first operation. It seemed like it was successful. I could see for about 3 to 4 weeks. After that time, my sight began to get blurry again, this time a little more than what it was previously. We return to the doctor. We have a second examination. Doctors say that, oh, his retinas have detached a second time. We need to have another procedure, another operation, another surgery. We have that. It seemed like it was successful. I could see well for another 3 to 4 months. After that time, sight begins to get blurry again, which leads to a third operation. That was the pattern for the entire time I was 8 years old. In that 1 year alone, I had 10 operations on my eyes to try and fix the issue, of which they were all ultimately unsuccessful. After the 10th one, the final operation, doctors said that there wasn't anything else they could do to help my sight. And they said that I would eventually become blind. If you were to suddenly lose your sight, your eyesight, who would you miss seeing the most? What would you miss seeing? Being able to see family, being able to see nature, being able to see smiling faces, all of those things. That was really difficult for me because I didn't have eyesight to do those things anymore. However, I've had a lot of people in my life who have encouraged me to believe that, you know what, just because you don't have eyesight doesn't limit you from the opportunities that exist in the world. You'll still be able to go into society, into the community, into the world, and you'll be able to do awesome things. You'll just have to make some adaptations. You'll have to do things differently, make some adjustments. And I think we all can agree with that. Sometimes when we face different obstacles or challenges, it requires us to think differently, to operate differently, to do things in a more creative way. And for me, that is what I had to do. I now could no longer see my neighborhood. So how would I be able to navigate? Okay, I could use my other senses, understanding the textures under my feet, feeling the sidewalk under my feet, and as I walk forward, I can feel the grass. And once I touch the grass, that lets me know, okay, well, Lex, make a right hand turn, and you can go 1 or 2 steps that will lead you to a stairwell that leads up to a landing. And once you are at the top of those stairs, you can turn left and you can keep walking straight. And after 4 or 5 steps, that will lead you to the front door of your house. I had to learn my neighborhood in a different way. I had to reimagine that area, that space. And a lot of times when we face the challenges that we have, that's the same thing you'll have to do. You'll have to reimagine that area, figure out new skills, new abilities, new things that you can tap into to help you continue moving toward your dream, your vision. Things won't always be as we plan. And I know as sailors, you you definitely can relate to this. Being on the water and not knowing what sort of, the waves and the currents and things like that. You have to make decisions on the fly. Things change very rapidly, no pun intended. And you determine a way to push forward to get to your destination. And that's the same thing that I had to do, and that served as the foundation that helped me to get to Paralympic sport. I believe that just because I have an issue, a difficulty, an obstacle, that doesn't stop me. I just figure out a way to overcome that and figure out a way to make adaptations to continue moving toward my vision. We had in our PE class, physical education class, we had a fitness test one of those tests where you have to do a number of activities. So, pull-ups and push-ups, sit-ups. One of the activities was standing long jump. Stand in one place, bend your knees, put your arms back, and you jump forward as far as you can. Now, I was in public school, which means that I was maybe one of 5 or 10 blind or visually impaired kids in the entire school, and everyone else had eyesight. We had about 1,500 kids in my high school. Everyone had to participate in these activities. So it's finally my turn to do the standing long jump. And my teacher, Mr. Whitmer, he shows me to the line that's in the ground, make sure that my feet are right behind that line so I can get the most distance possible. And he's, oh, Lex, give me something good. So I bend my knees, put my arms back, whoa, and I jump as far as I can. And everyone within that classroom, they just started going, just just totally just insane. Oh my gosh. Like, oh, Lex, like he jumped this far, he jumped from here to here. Like he's blind. He's blind. He can't see anything. He's blind. Like, we cannot believe this. My jump was over 10 feet. And since I compete in athletics and track and field, we do everything in metric system. So that was over 3 meters. Mr. Whitmer, he told me about the Paralympics. He told me about being able to travel the world and break records and win medals for Team USA and and just achieve so many things from an athletic standpoint. In my mind, I was thinking, all right, well, how are we going to accomplish this? I'm blind, can't see anything. How are we going to make this happen? In long jump, there's a takeoff board that's in the ground. He said that I'm going to stand at this takeoff board. I'm going to clap and yell so that although you can't see which direction to run, you'll be able to hear and listen where I'm standing. We'll determine how many steps that you need to take at the right step, the right stride. You'll jump, soar through the air, land in the sand. That was very challenging. To have someone encourage you to run at full speed, not seeing what's ahead of you, jumping into a sandpit, seemingly what felt as though it was the abyss. That was very tough. But in these situations, you have to ask yourself, if I don't give myself a shot, if I don't give myself a chance, if I don't try this out, what sort of opportunities am I limiting myself from? What sort of potential am I totally just, throwing out to the trash by not giving myself a chance, not trying? Now, I didn't want to live my life moving down the road and asking myself, oh, I wonder if I would have been able to go to the Paralympics. I wonder if I would have been able to win gold medals or represent Team USA or travel the world. I had someone who was working with me and letting me know that, hey, this is wide open space. You might be fearful of running into something or veering too far to the left or to the right, injuring yourself. But I'm letting you know that this is wide open space. If you veer too far to the left or to the right, you're not going to run into anything. You're not going to trip over anything, an obstacle. You won't fall off of a curb or a ledge. The only thing that you have to worry about is the outstretched track in front of you, and just listen to the sound of my voice. At the right step, the right stride, you'll jump. And that's the power that lives within all of us, having that vision, having that ability to see things before they exist, not only for yourself, but for those who are around you. At that time, I didn't really know what I was capable of doing. I didn't know where I was capable of going. I didn't know who I was capable of becoming. But I had someone who was a part of my team who helped me see that, and he helped develop that strategy. And we all have in our journeys, we have a lot of people who are part of our teams. I have my coach who writes my workouts for the track. I have my weight room coach, strength and conditioning. So they write our program around, lifting weights. I have a nutritionist, a dietitian. They make sure that we are consuming the right foods. A mental performance coach helping us from a mental standpoint to be strong when it comes to competition or anything that we deal with in life that is separate from competition, dealing with family issues, dealing with other personal issues, having that sports psychologist, having, someone who, maybe you have a sleep specialist, someone who helps you get the adequate amount of rest. You have all of these people who are part of your team who helps you to elevate to different levels in life. I was able to leverage the strength of all of those people to help me get to this point in the Paralympic movement. Showing up to the track every day, showing up to the weight room, again, eating the right things. All of those people played a part in that success. And I'm pretty sure for each of you, it's the same thing. You might feel alone in the boat. For me, it's me being on the runway, on the long jump runway by myself. But I know that at the end of the day, I'm not alone. I have other people who have helped me get to this point. And it's just a matter of leveraging the things that they have taught me to be able to get to where I need to go as an athlete. Coach Whitmer, Mr. Whitmer, my teacher in high school, he was the one who really helped establish that foundation. Just to give you an idea of all of the things that Coach Whitmer helped me to achieve in and around the sport of track and field. He helped me to improve, increase my confidence to the point where having a disability that didn't even really matter to me anymore. I just was focused on being successful in the sport of track and field. So as you can see, Mr. Whitman, he taught me to do a lot of things. He helped me to achieve so much as it relates to just the different drills, high knees, butt kickers, accelerations, jumping over hurdles, competing in the long jump, sprinting, all of those things. He really helped me to achieve a lot within that space. And so definitely appreciative of that. And just to reiterate again, we have so many people who are in our corner who are there to help us. As someone who's competed in this sport for a number of years, that is very crucial to our success. Understanding that we don't do this alone, and quite frankly, we can't do this alone. We need the assistance from other people. It is a team at the end of the day. And I've had a number of people who have helped me to achieve a lot within this space. So as it stands right now, I am in the long jump. I have a runway approach of about 35 meters. I know that that takes me 16 strides to cover from start to finish. At my 16th stride, I should be in the right area, the right vicinity to be able to take off and jump. My best jump to this day is 22 feet 9 inches, and that's pretty good. 22 feet 9 inches. That's 6.92 meters, and the goal is to reach 7 meters. Not No athlete has jumped over 7 meters in the long jump for totally blind athletes. So that is the goal, to reach that mark. Now, again, it's been a remarkable journey. And another aspect that is really crucial to our ability to succeed is adapting, understanding that change will happen, and understanding that when that change does happen, embracing that and figuring out a way to overcome and continue moving forward. And during the pandemic, that was something that we all dealt with. Here at the Olympic Training Center, we had a number of athletes who they tested positive for COVID, which meant that we had to train differently. For me, it was very different because they eventually allowed us to get back out on the field of play and train. However, we had to social distance. We had to stay a certain amount of space away from each other. I am with my guide all of the time. We work together side by side in basically everything that we do. Since we had the social distance, that made it very difficult for me when it came to training. So I told myself, all right, well, I am going to start going down to the track. There's a portion of our track where that rubberized surface, it connects with the grass, and I can feel that under my feet. So I told myself, this is going to be my starting mark. I walked on that track and I had my cane, the white cane that you might see blind and visually impaired people use from time to time. And I'm sliding that cane from left to right, left to right, left to right. After about 30, 35 meters, I took my smartphone, connected it to my Bluetooth speaker, turned on some music, and turned it up like to the volume was very high. Put the speaker on the ground. I told myself, this is going to be my finish line. So I had that start line where the track met the grass and I could listen to the music. And I had this wide open 30, 35 meter space where I could do the high knees and the butt kicks. And I could do the accelerations. It wasn't the same training that I was used to doing, but what it was ensuring is that when they did allow us to go out there and train in the fashion that we were used to doing, it would mean that I wouldn't have to start from ground zero. I wouldn't have to start my training from the beginning. So when we face these challenges and these overwhelming situations, figure out ways that you can think creatively. That's what leads to innovation, doing things differently, going against the grain, going against tradition. Tradition is, oh, well, we've done this the same way for years upon years upon years upon years. But the only challenge with tradition is that sometimes you don't think about new ways, new innovations, new creations. And a lot of times it is important for us to tap into those unconventional methods that leads us to more success, new potential, new opportunities. Very important. And all of this was started by my mom. She was the one who really established that foundation for me. So my mom, she's been a huge influence in my life, and she's still back in North Carolina living vicariously through the ups and downs and ebbs and flows of training and competition. And she's probably my biggest cheerleader. But I'll leave you with this last thought. I have a mantra that is no need for sight when you have a vision. It's not our eyes that ultimately determine success. It's our ability to see something bigger, to see that vision, to see things that you might not currently see with your eyesight, seeing beyond the horizon, seeing new ideas, new potential, seeing new opportunity. And for a lot of us, we like you totally understand that as sailors, as an athletics athlete, track and field athlete, like we have certain goals. We have things that we want to achieve. Those things might not be available to us right now, but we develop that plan and we connect with the right people. We work relentlessly to bring that into fruition. I always tell people that when we start training for the Paralympics, the goal is to get on the podium. The goal is to get onto the top of the podium, to have that medal placed around your neck, to have the flag raised, to hear your country's national anthem. That's very important. But in the beginning, you don't necessarily see that. As you continue to work, you train, you get on the water each day, you lift weights, you eat the appropriate amount of food, you get the appropriate amount of rest, you plan accordingly. Now, as you continue to push forward, you'll eventually get to that point where you come to the realization that, hey, I've achieved my vision. I now have this trophy in my hand. I now have this medal in my hand. And that's the power that lies within all of us. This is one of my medals. This was just a thought in my mind at the beginning of those 4 years. But you go to that track every day and you train and you run all out. You go to the weight room and you lift weights and you tire yourself. You go and you eat the appropriate amount of food. You get the right amount of sleep. You work with the people who are going to help you get in the position that you need to be successful. And that vision again was just something it was just in your mind. But that's the power of an idea, a thought. We have the ability to bring that into fruition. When you have a vision, it helps you determine what you can do, where you can go, and who you can become. There's a lot of people in the world who have perfect sight, but they might not have 2020 vision. So always remember that there's no need for sight when you have a vision, and challenge yourself to see beyond what it is that your eyes see. Challenge yourself to bring what it is that you see within your mind into fruition. And a vision, it's meant to transform the world, society, our community, something of that magnitude. You need other people. You don't have to do it alone. And quite frankly, you can't do it alone. So stay locked into that vision, what it is that you see for yourself and the people around you. And understand that, yeah, there might be some challenges that you face, but even within those challenges, figure out ways that you can adapt, ways that you can evolve. And always ask yourself in these moments, what is it that I need to do differently? Challenges are there to make us stronger, to make us smarter, and to prepare us for the even more challenges that we will face in the future. But the last thing is vision. It allows us to see hope during times of despair. When you're going through those challenges, ask yourself, what am I doing this for? What's my purpose? Why am I doing this? And that'll give you the energy, the motivation, the inspiration to be able to continue pushing through, to overcome any sort of challenges that you might face on the water. And in my situation, overcoming any sort of challenges that I might face on the field of play, on the track. Staying locked into that vision helps us to continue to elevate and to soar above life's challenges. So always remember, no need for sight when you have a vision. Look beyond what it is that your eyes see, because there's so much more for you to bring into focus. So much success that you can bring here on this earth. So I thank you for this time. I know we're going to hop into some Q&A, but I'm going to toss it back over to Natasha, and glad to be here. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Lex. Thank you for sharing your whole story. I mean, it is so inspirational, and I think that any athlete can relate at some point in their career, in their life, to your experiences. And all of your words, I think, really resonate with everybody. I'll go into the first question that we have for you. it's about overcoming challenges. You've spoken about turning adversity into strength. Can you share maybe a specific moment in your career when you faced a significant setback and how you found the resilience to move forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that in one of our world championships, I was competing and I landed on the side of the long jump pit. So I didn't land inside of the sand, which it was painful, it was tough. But I think that in those moments where things are really, really challenging, ask yourself what's the last image that you want people to have of you? How do you want them to see you? So in that competition, I knew that yeah, I landed on the side of the long jump pit. It was challenging, it was painful, but I had something inside of me in terms of just my ability to continue pushing forward. And I wanted to finish that competition out. I didn't want that side of the long jump pit, landing on the side of the long jump pit. I didn't want that to be the lasting image that people had of me. So it was in a lot of ways I was like, hey, I got to get back up. I'm resilient. I can bounce back. I can push through this. I still have a little bit left in the tank. So let's see what happens. And I was able to, come back and my next jump ended up being the best jump of the competition and we won the gold medal. And so yeah, I think that in everything that we do, you ask yourself, what's that lasting image that you want people to have of you? What's that picture that you want them to have in their mind, who you are, your character, your qualities, the things that you possess. And I think that that will help us to push forward and to continue growing and evolving.
Thank you for that answer. Next question. A lot of your achievements hinge on mental fortitude. Can you share any mental exercises or techniques that help you stay focused and confident under challenging conditions?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just being able to separate our feelings from what is literally going on. So thinking about the example that I just gave you around running and jumping, landing on the side of the sand pit, that was embarrassing. I felt ashamed. I had been competing in this sport for years upon years upon years, and nothing like that had happened. My pride was, pride and ego that played a part in it as well. But I had to separate, listen, the reality is what was going on is it was loud inside of the stadium.
Hmm.
There was echoing going on. Those things made it difficult for me to hear where my guide was standing, where I needed to run and take off from. And once we were able to talk about those things and be specific around what was actually happening, he was able to make the necessary adjustments and stand in the appropriate location so that now when I run down the runway, I was able to, hear directly in front of me his voice and know that I'm running in the right direction now. And that's what helped
Mm.
to create that final successful attempt. And so, yeah, a lot of times if we go through challenging times, we feel certain things, and that's not to, I definitely don't want to be insensitive and say that those things don't matter. However, at the same time, we have to be strategic in how we move forward from that and understand that there are things that things that appear to be real and things that are real. And so focusing on the things that are real and determining what needs to happen um so that we can, continue to navigate down our own figurative runway and soar into success.
Would love to ask. Sailing teams often rely on sensory feedback like wind and wave patterns. How do you use your heightened non-visual senses to perform, and what lessons might sailors take from that?
Yeah, I think it's very important to we are not beings that totally focus or should focus on one aspect of who we are. We have so many different talents, so many skills, so many senses. And so going back to when I lost my sight, excuse me, when I lost my sight, reimagining my neighborhood, learning how to use the textures under my feet, feeling certain things, learning how to use sounds, listening to certain things, smells, all of those things help me to create a just an incredible image of my neighborhood. And quite frankly, I feel like me learning it in that capacity helped me to see that neighborhood even more. So when you're on the water, yes, take into account the feel. I'm not sure what types of smells might be associated with, being out there and navigating, but tap into those things as well. The feel, the smell, the sounds, all of those things are very huge in our ability to proceed. And if you do just so happen to have eyesight, that just helps that just helps amplify your skill set even more. Like you can see things, but when you have the capacity to lean on the things that you hear or the things that you feel, that just helps make you become even more of a what we would say here in the state, a juggernaut. Like you just become that much greater than what you are when you just focus on one thing. And so, yeah, I definitely believe that there is opportunity to tap into those other senses. And I would encourage you to tap into those other senses because it should open up opportunities for you to be able to do much more than what you would have been able to do focusing on one sense, one skill set.
So, in sailing, effective communication is key to navigating and decision making. How do you and your guide ensure clear, ambiguous communication, and what can sailors learn from this?
Yeah, I think that so communication is huge because it's going to help us get to our desired destination. In the beginning, the communication between my guide and I was a little shaky, excuse me, but that was largely because he hadn't had much experience working with someone who was blind or visually impaired. So in the beginning, for example, if we're standing on the track and I have my water bottle or my shoes, he might have said something like, "Oh, well, your water bottle is right there." That makes it very difficult for someone who is blind. What does right there mean? So it's important for us to communicate, but we need to communicate effectively. So now that communication turned into, all right, let's take take two steps forward. One, two, take a step to your right, reach down with your right hand. There's your water bottle.
Hmm.
Lex, take three steps back, take two steps to your left, reach down with your left hand. There are your shoes. And so I would imagine that it is probably similar to you sailors because you need you need communication, but you need effective communication,
Mhm.
clear communication, letting you know. I'm just throwing out things now, but at what point do I need to turn at at this latitude mark or this longitude or whatever it is. Um, that helps us to understand where it is that we need to go. And then on top of that, when we have that feedback, that clear feedback, it increases our confidence because we know exactly what we need to do and we know exactly where we need to go.
In sailing, when it's like a team sailing, like the Ocean 50, is definitely communication is very important between the crew. Another question: your experiences as an elite athlete have taught you valuable lessons. How can non-athletes, professionals in different fields, translate your insights about resilience, risk taking, and vision into their own work and personal lives?
I think a lot of it is first understanding that, we operate in a space where we get a lot of coverage, we get a lot of TV time or times where people might interview us and we're in magazines and newspapers and things like that. Separate yourself from the amplification of what we do. And that's not to say that as an athlete I want people to look at what I do as something that doesn't matter. But the point is, the skill sets that it took for me to get to this point are the same things that those relate across the board. Being resilient, being able to persevere, being persistent, trusting others, communicating with others, being empathetic, having a vision. All of those things, it doesn't matter whether you're an athlete, a doctor, a sailor, a parent, a coach, a friend. We all have the ability to leverage those things. And so, yeah, I just think that just remove yourself from all of the I showed you one of my medals, I have a number of medals and we all have accolades. But just think about what it took to acquire those accolades. Those are the things that really matter. Because whatever it is that you set your mind on, if you understand that you can be resilient, if you believe that you do have a vision, if you believe that you can be persistent and persevere and set goals and be empathetic and communicate appropriately, you do all of those things. That's the only thing that really matters. You'll be able to achieve anything in life. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, that's right. Your bond with your guide is pivotal to your success in track and field. How does that level of trust and communication compare to what sailing teams need to succeed?
I would say it's pretty similar. I think that I'm not sure everything about sailing, but what I will tell you is I have been sailing a couple times. One of my buddies has a sailboat, and we went into the San Francisco Bay a few years ago. And I'll never forget because as we were riding around in the bay, there were a couple times where it was windy out and the boat was shifted, like it tilted so far to one
It
side.
healed. Yeah.
And it was the side that I was sitting on. So I literally could reach out and touch the water.
Mm.
Um, but the confidence, the reassurance that he and she that they gave me within that process was, it was huge. So when we think about trust, a lot of it is, yes, understanding that, all right, these are professionals and people who operate within this space. And another thing that increased that trust is the communication that they gave me. Oh, Lex, well, reposition yourself this way. Come over to this side. Let's reposition how the weight is distributed on the boat. Like this is not a big deal. And so just really trusting them, trusting the things that are being said to you, trusting the direction that you are being given. All of those things really help. And that's similar to my guide. When we go into a new competition venue, he's letting me know everything that is on my left hand side, my right hand side, what's in front of me, what's behind me, letting me know that when I run and jump into the sand pit, letting me know what's on the side of the sides of the sand pit, what's at the back of the sand pit, so that when I get up and I walk around, I feel as though I can see exactly what's going on. And I think similarly, that's the same for each of you. As long as you have that feedback and that information, when you're in the water and literally you might be alone, figuratively you're not, because you have these people who are communicating with you. They've given you the plan, they've given you the feedback. That increases your confidence and helps you to get to that destination safely and successfully.
Okay, I'm going to read the next one in its entirety because it's really cute. Lex, your motivation and resilience are so damn inspirational. Thank you for sharing your story. I fail often and then become uncertain, and I am personally curious what you tell yourself in those down, hard, impossible moments, whether it's to focus on your process, to refuse to give up and be beaten, or to focus on what success feels like.
I think it's all of it. Every single one of those things I think is important. I think what I really focus on the most is when I'm in these challenging moments, always reassuring myself that this is where I need to be. When things get really tough and really challenging, it feels like we're buried. It feels like things are overwhelming and they're weighing our shoulders down. The weight of the world is on us. That's where we need to be, because I feel like on the opposite end of that is everything that you have been dreaming about. everything that you have been wanting. And it's just a matter of you being able to continue to push forward, trusting that plan, trusting other people, and ignoring the fact that, oh, yeah, sometimes I wake up and I don't want to train, but why do I do it? I want to get on the podium. I wake up sometimes, I understand that, oh, this workout is going to be incredibly challenging, but why am I doing it for? I want to get on the podium. And I know that as long as I keep that mindset, that gives me the motivation and this inspiration to keep moving forward.
Well, your resilience is very inspirational for sure. We really appreciate you taking the time to sharing our story with us. I think we're going to wrap this webinar up. I just wanted to say that we all face challenges. Perhaps the vision is clear, but the steps to achieve the outcomes are hard to see. So look past your current reality and challenge yourself to see further than you ever thought possible. Those are your words. um, thank you, Lex, for this inspiring webinar. Again, heads up to everybody for what will be the next webinar in the UpWind Family Speaker Series. The team is working on that and will share a fresh new program for 2025 soon. Enjoy the holiday season, and until next year for more inspirational webinars.